Hey y'all, this is Jasmine J with the Business Umbrella, here with the Let's Talk Business podcast. This season is called All Things Real Estate, and it's geared towards educating the community on how they can use real estate to create generational wealth. So today we have another guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we'll dive right in. How you doing today?
How you doing? My name's Garland Harris Jr. I'm an architectural designer and a real estate developer.
Okay. So, oh, wow, that's a lot. So tell us about that. Tell us about how you got started and what inspired you to get into architect and to start developing real estate.
So I've honestly wanted to study architecture ever since I was in the 7th grade. My dad runs a mobile detailing business, and he has like a lot of, pricier clients because he comes to them.
Yeah.
And so one of his clients was an architect with an office in the Galleria. And in the 7th grade, my dad used to always make me work with him during the summers. I hated it, but at the end of the day,
he knew what he was doing.
You know what I'm saying? He was teaching me that entrepreneurial spirit. So I ended up going with him one day. He would take me with him to go like get keys from his clients and stuff like that. And we go into this high rise in the Galleria area, and we walk into this office. It's like overlooking the entire Galleria and everything. It's a beautiful sight, but this is really before the Galleria got really developed into what it is today.
Right.
And I walk in and I see like all of these pictures of like buildings and, like colorful drawings on the wall. And I'm like, oh.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, what you do, bro? And he's like, I'm an architect. What's an architect? He's like, well, basically, I get paid to draw for a living. I looked at my dad. I said, you mean to tell me I can get paid for the stuff I get in trouble with at school? Whoa, I want to do that.
Right.
And I got interested in real estate development when I was in like the 11th grade when we were living in the Richmond Sugarland area off of 59 and what is now the Grand Parkway, but it used to be called Crab River Road. And that the Telfair development was being built at that time. And I remember like going to the website and, when we would pass by, I would look at the signs and I would see, the names of the development companies. And I was like, yo, I want to do something like that too. But at that time, I only wanted to do it because I wanted to be rich and I wanted to have, a bunch of beautiful women on my arm.
Right.
So I was in it for the wrong reasons. So I ended up playing football at Prairie View and studying architecture there and loved it, man. I learned so much from the professors there, built great relationships with, fellow classmates there who actually, some of them are actually some of my business partners now. And, won a championship with the football team up there. I really enjoyed my time there and I learned a ton of stuff, but architecture school is more geared towards commercial. And when I graduated, it was in the height of the housing crash. So I ended up working for a landscape contractor for like 15 months. And it was boring. I was just counting plants.
Counting plants?
Counting plants.
Wow.
So literally we would get these drawings for like a Walmart or an HISD project. They're building a new school or something, or one of the city the county drainage projects. So when they needed someone to put in grass, so I had to go in this takeoff system and, measure out the areas for the grass and then count like plants and count like irrigation line. And
you say you did that for how long?
15 long, agonizing months.
So wait, I want to ask, what happened to make you say, no, I'm going to stop doing that? But before I ask you that, I have to ask about football. I know it has nothing to do with real estate. But what position did you play?
I was a defensive back. I started out like a receiver at the beginning of high school, and I really liked hitting people. So they moved me to safety, and I loved it. And I ended up walking on at Prairie View and making the team. And made a home for myself as a special teams player. I enjoyed it, man. It was camaraderie with my teammates. I loved, games. Hated training camp. Would not ever do training camp.
It was something, huh?
That second week of training camp, that's when you rethink whether or not you want to continue playing football. You think, man, it's hot. I ain't seen a woman in 3 weeks.
Oh, man. But do you think some of the concepts you learned in playing organized football like that is helping you in what you do today?
Man, me and my business partner, because we were both on the team, talk about this all the time. Our coaches taught us life skills. You know, our defensive coordinator used to always tell us it's not the elephants that it's not the elephants that get you beat, it's the ants and the mosquitoes. And we didn't understand it at the time, but as we got older, okay, I see what coach is saying. It's not the big things that get you, it's the little things. So if you can do the little things right, it'll take care of the big things.
Yeah.
You know, or there was another thing he used to say, and now it's slipped my mind. Pay attention to details.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, you know, do your job. You know, he's like, if you're the safety and your job is to cover a deep half, why are you worrying about the linebacker getting to the flat? While you over there and you trying to, you know, worry about the linebacker getting to the flat and you vacate your zone, they throwing a touchdown pass behind you because you're not doing your job.
Right.
So you got to trust your teammates. And so, especially in this business, none of us does any of this alone.
Right,
so
right. For sure.
Trusting your teammates is important. So at the end of the day, I'm going to do my job right. And the people that we work with, I'm expecting you to do your job right. Right. Because I can't be over here trying to do your job. I'm not.
You got to do your job.
You know what I'm saying? You do your job. So, football taught us a lot. Okay,
so let's get back to this 15 months counting plants. So how did you end that, and where did you go from there?
So leveraging some of my relationships again with my father, he had a client who owned an architectural firm. They're like probably the largest townhouse design firm in the city. They've been doing this since the 70s.
Wow.
And they know all the tricks, all the loopholes, everything. I actually just stopped by their office one day just to say hi. And ended up sitting down with them, talking, sharing my skills with a software that was emerging at the time that we now pretty much all use, called Autodesk Revit, which is our 3D modeling software. And they wanted me to come in, build them a template, and then teach them how to use that program. And they ended up hiring me to come in and do that. So I ended up getting to design, you know, like multi-million-dollar townhouse projects. I think one of the projects I got to work on was this one called Winfield Gate. It's right off of San Felipe and Kirby. One of the townhouses there, it's a community of 20 attached townhouses. The largest one sold for $3.15 million. Still holds the record for the most expensive townhome ever sold in the city of Houston. I don't know why we call it a townhome, because it's
nothing like that.
No, it's 5 stories, rooftop pool, 3-car garage, 7,000 square feet.
Wow.
I was like, this ain't no townhome. This is bigger than half the homes in Houston.
Right.
It's like
a mansion.
Yes. And we calling this a townhome. So they took me under their wing, took me out to job sites, you know, taught me a lot about construction. And I was hungry too. You know, I wanted to learn these things. You know, I'm like, yo, when's the next job site tour? You know, what can I go visit? You know, and then they turned around and sold the company 11 months after I started to David Weekley Homes. So I ended up working for David Weekley. It was, I didn't really like it.
You didn't like it?
No, the suburban housing is boring. Even though we were doing a lot of townhouse stuff, they, you know, tried to make it more like their standard production housing. And it was boring. But it was the people there were fun. You know, they had a lot of parties. There were days where I would just come in and just watch videos until it was time to go to this meeting.
Right.
That was at Dave and Buster's. That was really just a party. Yeah.
Okay, so then how did you go from there? Or did you go from there into your own firm or leaping into entrepreneurship? Yeah, so I left Weekly, tried to jump into entrepreneurship, failed miserably, was out of job for like 18 months, real strain on my family. I don't regret the decision, because at the end of the day, I believe that period of my life worked out a lot of stuff in me. Right. To give me the right motives to do what I do now. But I ended up having to take
a job with a custom home builder that I actually still work for today. And I took a second job because my credit and everything was shot working for the Houston Astros, doing security. So I started out at a gate, and then they moved me down to the field. At the time, I didn't like baseball, but somebody paid me to watch baseball, and I fell in love with it. And I even caught a streaker one time.
Yeah.
That was kind of wild. But I mean, I did that for like a year, and then I kept the job with the home builder, because it provided benefits for my family, stable income. And then one of my friends approached me, and she's a realtor, and she wanted to do her first development. So me and her learned together, walked through the entire process, and she ended up taking a 20,000 square foot lot, and it was two lots. They were both 10,000 square feet. So phase one was she built a duplex and 3 townhouses that I designed for her. And then the owner of the lot behind her, saw the nice project that she built and sold her the other lot. And so she built the same project behind it. So took one whole development took one whole piece of vacant land in Sunnyside and turned it into an entire block.
So where in Sunnyside is this?
This is off of Colonial and Redbud.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now she's a superstar. She's building 20 more units. And she just started 2 years ago. We're actually getting ready to announce a master class, because we've had people approaching us asking us like, how can I get to that? And we're like, yeah, it's not hard. It's not easy.
Right.
But it's not hard. Once you learn the steps and you figure out how to work within the rules, it's really not a tricky process. You gotta understand the market. You gotta study the market, and you gotta know what the people want.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the downfall of a lot of developers, I'm saying this to anyone out there, stop trying to build what you want. Build what that area needs. Okay? You might like crown molding and, hardwood floors and, what's the, is it marble? No, it's not marble.
Granite?
Not granite, it's quartz. Quartz countertops everywhere. But if you're in an area where literally the people will buy a house that only has granite, carpet, and laminate flooring, then just put that in there. That's what they want. Don't overspend on the house, because now you don't come and build a $2 million home in a neighborhood where the house is only selling for $300,000.
Yeah.
Because the people around there ain't gonna be the type of buyers who are going to buy a $2 million home don't want to live in a neighborhood next door to a $300,000 house.
Right.
They're like, yo, this is gonna pull down my value. All of that. So that's kind of that.
So with the entrepreneurial leap that you did, how do you feel personally about doing that? Were you confident right at the time, or do you feel like you were forced into that? Like, talk to me a little.
Super confident.
You was like, oh yeah, it's going down.
And I fell flat on my face just. And I learned a lot, humbled me. I actually jumped into being a real estate agent for a while and had just a little success with that, but I really didn't like being a real estate agent. It was just,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you think for someone to get into real estate, no matter what area they want to get into real estate, do you think that they need to go and get a realtor license?
Nah.
You don't feel like that's necessary?
Nah. Honestly, if you want to, you can. But see, my thing is right now, I'm talking to all the realtors out there. You better have a game plan if you don't have a large team and you're not selling, multiple houses a month, because Zillow, Redfin, Open Door, Airbnb, they coming for your business and they will get it, because there are large companies and they're coming in with technology and they're names that people know.
Right.
And so the realtors who run their operation like a business, those who are brokers and have agents working under them, they're going to be fine. Yeah. It's the smaller guys who are selling who work full times and selling 1 or
The
2
house
houses in a
here and the
month.
house there.
That's the ones that those larger companies are going to come for. And so being a realtor takes a special person. You got to be a salesman. You got to be willing to, show house after house. You got to be okay with the decisions that people make. I've designed like a lot of luxury housing, so I know what good houses look like, and I can't stand walking into homes that have wasted space because I've designed townhomes for so long, and we've had all of these space constraints that, we have to make sure the plan flows.
Yeah.
No dead space. So when I walk in the house and I see dead space, I'm pissed. I'm like, ugh.
So then it was becoming hard for you to sell that house because you was a little bit disgusted with it.
Yeah, and the customer's like, oh, it's so nice. I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
This house is ugly. You want it? Okay, let me write up the contract. Take my little commission and go home,
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable designing and building the stuff, and there are other, there's a lot of realtors out there. It's hard to find good ones, but when we find good ones, we stick with them. So we haven't
build that relationship.
Yeah, we haven't jumped on the Redfin or Zillow train yet, even though I know some of them are offering like discounted commissions. We thought about it. But, the realtors we do work with, they are good at their job. And we respect people. I think that if you are good at your job, you should be rewarded.
Right.
I think you should be rewarded with more than just a pizza party.
Not
That's
a
a
pizza
shot at
party.
corporate America.
Clearly. So I lost my track laughing. Lost my train of thought laughing at that. So generational wealth. Let's talk about that. How do you, coming from your area expertise with real estate, so how do you feel like that helps create generational wealth?
So every house that we build, every structure that we build, every development we plan out, that's always on my mind. I know that at the end of the day, someone's going to buy this, and it's going to be the home that's going to, even if they don't stay in it for longer than maybe 5 years, the proceeds that they can make off of selling that home as we continue to build in the area and bring the values up could lead them to start a new business or, pay for some education for someone else or pay off some medical debt or whatever. All of these things start with creating environments for people to have the opportunity for it. And the thing is, when we talk about generational wealth, we're not just thinking about, okay, let's just build a house here. We're thinking about, okay, how are we building? How are we meeting the market's needs? What is the market telling us? The market's telling us right now, a lot of people are delaying marriage, family sizes are getting smaller, so it's okay for us to build 2-bedroom duplexes. It's okay for us to build true townhouse developments that are not, 3 bedrooms with 2-car garages and stuff like that.
Right. And
we're able to sell those things for cheaper, which opens the door for someone else to get in. The way housing used to be before big builders, basically convinced everybody that a single family home is the only thing that you need.
Right.
The way the progression of housing used to go is you bought a starter home. A starter home was usually like a townhouse or a duplex or something like that. It didn't have 3 bedrooms. It probably didn't have a 2-car garage. It was probably built like we build apartment complexes with amenities and stuff like that. People would take that, live in it for a while, and either, use that equity that they built in that home and, buy a larger home where they can grow their family, or sell or, rent that home out as a second home while they did this or that. And so when we talk about creating generational wealth, we are trying to provide those options to people again. Not everyone's going to buy a 3-bedroom, 1,700 square foot house.
Right.
Why? If you're only living by yourself, you got 2 rooms that you're not using. Even though we have people working from home now, I work from home. There's still another room that you're not using.
Right.
And even with Airbnb, you can rent that room out, but not everybody is comfortable just allowing strangers
people to come in their home. Yeah.
Whereas if you buy a duplex, you own both units.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can feel more comfortable letting out of town people from wherever
Right.
rent that other unit, because you like, I ain't got to see them. I'm being in my unit, they on their unit. As long as they don't tear my stuff up, I'm good. And if they tear my stuff up, then I got to file a claim, got to have, all this other
All
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Open a whole nother can.
Exactly.
Okay. That was a different perspective on generational wealth, and I really appreciate you sharing that. So one thing I wanted to ask you, your projects. So under your own firm, where are what areas in Houston do you have some projects now that you?
Right now we are mainly in that sunny side, South Park, South Acres area. We really like that area. The lots are a lot bigger. We can do a lot more with less money, because some of the lots that we may pay for, like in Fifth Ward, we own a lot in Fifth Ward. We've owned it for like 3 years now. It got tied up in a legal issue. We bought this lot from a wholesaler who turned out to not be a wholesaler. While we were getting ready to start our replat on the lot, we get a letter from the Harris County DA saying our lot was stolen. Title company missed it. The county missed it. All these people.
The lot was stolen?
It was stolen. Dude forged a deed for a guy that had been dead for 40 years. So it's been in litigation for 3 years now, but the lawyers are telling us that we will have full possession of the property back in like January, which we're fine. Okay? It's always important. If you're buying real estate outside of a crash, and I know a lot of people are afraid of a crash is not going to happen. Demand's too high. Housing prices are not just exorbitant. And on top of that, mortgage, the interest rates are stupid low. Mm-hmm. You can't get any
Not stupid low.
It's stupid low. I mean, like, my parents bought their first home at a 9% interest rate. I bought my first home at a 2.75 interest rate. Wow. And I got way more house than they did. They paid $180 for theirs. I paid $200. I got almost a 4,000 square foot house. So, and their mortgage payment was probably more like, what was it, $180? I think they were paying like $1,900 a month, and I'm like around $15. So you can see the big differences that interest rates make. And then on top of that, lending is way more stricter now than it was back then. Yeah, they were letting you come in with fake checks and buy a house. Oh, hey. You make $5,000 a month, okay? Here you go.
Yeah, do you think?
So, I lost my train of thought. Got off on the parent thing.
Well, it's okay. So, to someone that wants to get into real estate, right? They haven't been to school for it. They're just hearing about it and they want to get involved. What is your advice to them?
Find people like myself who are already doing it. YouTube will only take you so far. YouTube has a lot of good information if you're trying to do like wholesaling and stuff like that. But if you're trying to get into like some of the larger projects like we're doing, all of this stuff requires more technical expertise. It requires a good network. We spent a lot of time building the network that we use. And it requires, some funding. You got to be able to know how to play with the money and find these things out. So it depends on what you're trying to do. If your goal is to I always ask people when they ask me a question, how can I get in real estate? Okay, well, what do you want to do? Right. And like, what do you mean? There's a ton of stuff that you can do. You can lend money to people like me while we're doing projects, and you're not doing nothing. I'm the one out there, out on the site, yelling at contractors. Right. I'm the one on the phone asking the city why my plan is being sent through through a department that it shouldn't be in the first place. Right. You ain't got to worry about none of that. I just tell you, hey, here's a status update. We got an offer on the front unit for X amount of money, and we got another offer on the back unit. We're going to accept the one on the front, da-da-da-da-da. So you come in and lend money to people like us. You could be a wholesaler. You can come in and be a realtor if you want to. You can... you could do retail, not retail, this the, rental arbitrage for Airbnb units, where you go out to apartment complexes and you sign leases in a corporate name and you furnish the properties and lease them out on Airbnb. You could jump into commercial development. There's a ton of stuff that you can do in commercial development. You can buy land and then, buy land in an area where it's growing, and then, find like large companies who will, want to come and like build a shopping center there and then do ground leases. Yeah. Ground leases and office building leases and malls are probably some of the greatest pieces of real estate that you can have. A ground lease, somebody's paying you money to come in and build their own building. They're responsible for the building. You ain't responsible for nothing. If the building burns down, if a hurricane come and knock it down, ain't got nothing to do with you, bruh. If CVS come and build a building on your lot and you're doing a ground lease with them, they might pay you $55,000 a month for 20 years. If the building, if a bus ran through the building, guess who fixing it? CVS. They'd never call you. An office building, okay? The tenants are all responsible for their spaces. If they have bathrooms in their spaces and the toilet gets plugged up, they're not calling the landlord.
Right.
They're responsible for it. If the AC unit goes out, they're responsible for that. And you still get paid for all of that. Malls, same way. If you can own a mall, man, like Simon Malls is like one of the largest developers in the country. They own the Galleria Mall. They own the Boca Raton Mall in Fort Lauderdale, and a couple other malls in Miami and LA and other gallerias in like major cities. Mm-hmm. They have one of the greatest deals ever. They got Neiman Marcus in there paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Plus they get a percentage of their sales each month. And they are not responsible for anything that happens in the store. All they're responsible for is the grounds. If the freaking concrete in the parking lot starts to sag, then Simon Group comes in and fix that. But if the AC unit goes out in Neiman Marcus, they got to call their own person. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so commercial real estate is a whole different game. And if you can get into that, man, it's freaking awesome to get into that. I mean, it's something that we want to get to, but you got to start somewhere. And
right, for sure.
Find something and start.
Yeah, just get started.
Yeah, and I tell people, if you're going to be serious about it, man, if you're going to come to me and ask me to do mentorship, or you want to come to me and get my time, man, you got to pay me some money, okay? Because I had to spend some money to get this knowledge, You know what I'm saying? Whether I had to go to school for it, or I had to go work for somebody for it, or I had to go physically talk to people.
Right.
We had to figure this stuff out too. And if you can get a leg up by just leaning on people like us, why not? Or you can go out there and make your own mistakes,
So for somebody who wants to lean on you guys and pay you for that mentorship, how do they get in contact with you?
Go on IG, IG Neighborhood Developer. My contact information is in the profile. You can send me an email. Email is the best contact, or you can send me a DM. If you call me and I don't recognize your number, I might not answer. I get tired of them scam callers that be, all of that. So if you
email is best.
Yes, if you do call, leave a voicemail. I'll call you right back, or text me.
Yeah,
and I'll call you right back. We are. Like I said, we are in the process of getting ready to open up coaching programs because at the end of the day, a report came out like last month that we're short 5 million homes and builders cannot keep up. I can tell you from my day job, we hired a ton of people and we're still like severely behind on jobs. It's just we can't build these houses fast enough. Yeah, I got people hitting me up in my inbox like, yo, I put an offer on your property and I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It was 3 other offers and we went with which we thought was the best.
Was best, right.
So yeah, we have a couple of other lots. We have like 20 more units that we want to build, but you also gotta understand right now the cities are overloaded with permitting, replats are overloaded, and all of those things, we can't start building until we have all of the approvals.
Right.
And even then, once you are ready to build, now you got to get your trades out there and trades, man, they busy.
Yeah. They making money.
They making that money. Oh, and that's another thing. Construction trades. A lot of people miss out on this. You know, you don't necessarily have to be running your own project. If you are good with your hands and you could do something like paint houses or frame or lay flooring down or tile, man, get out here and do it well. You will make a killing.
Yeah.
If you are good at it, you will always have a job, because you know the bad trades, when the demand dies down, the bad trades go away. We get rid of those guys because it's like we're not gonna use them no more. But the good ones, you want to build relationships with them. You want to keep them, and if you can lock in like a deal with a large builder, or you're in there, because they're gonna always have housing. They're gonna be there and they're gonna have that work for you.
All right. So is there anything that you want to leave them with?
Don't do drugs. Oh no, that's the first thing that came to my mind. One of my clients always says, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And that kind of ties into something I mentioned earlier with the lot that was stolen. We bought that lot for $30,000 in Fifth Ward. Around us, another developer came in and built 20 townhomes all around us. And now lots in that area sell for $100,000. We were originally trying to sell the townhomes we were going to build for $240,000. We can now sell them for $315,000. Wow. So even with a lot being tied up in litigation, we actually ended up making more money. Because at the end of the day, we knew the area that we were in at the time, we knew it was going to continue to grow. And so if you can find those areas, and you got to have an eye for it. You know, a lot of people, they drive through certain areas and, oh, I had never built anything here. I drive through it and like, yo, I want to cop that lot right there.
Yeah.
I could put 4 on that one.
Yeah.
I could build something like that over there. You got to have the foresight, you know. And if you don't, then find people like me who can see what stuff can be.
Yeah.
And just
have
get
that
out
vision.
There. Yeah. And just get out there and do it, man. You know, I got people who call me constantly and want to do this, but they sitting on their hands. And I tell them all the time, look, you ain't going to learn nothing if you don't get out here and do it. It's plain and simple.
So, again, this season is geared towards educating our community on how real estate can be used for generational wealth. And I want to thank you, Garland, because you understood the assignment, and I appreciate you giving all that information out. I wanted to run and go get my notebook at some point, but, you know, me and you will talk.
You come to the master class.
Right, for sure. Invest. So, thank you. Thanks for tuning in.